It's a Guy Jeans podcast.
Ryan, what's going on?
How's it going, man?
Hey, thanks for being on my podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, it's very rarely that I talk to somebody on my podcast that works as hard as I do. And
yeah, you know, it's the grind. You know, it's
yeah.
the daily grind of being a business owner. You know,
that's one of my questions I wanted to ask you before we get into your businesses and stuff that you're successful at is what does it take to be an entrepreneur?
You know, it's I think we're a different breed, to be honest. It's
right.
It's a lot of level-headed thinking, but also you got to be willing to take a risk. You know,
yeah.
And that 2-year plan may turn out to be a 5-year plan, but
right.
As long as you kind of keep that drive and that passion going, it tends to work out if you put the time and effort in.
You know, it's that passion, huh? It's that
totally, man.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like if you don't have passion, and it doesn't have to be like not being a business owner. It could be just daily life of like, hey, man, like I'm kind of in a dead end job, and what can I do to make it better? And I think passion has a lot to do with it. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, for me as a business owner, I haven't told you this story, but I had a window washing company. I don't know if I have told you that, but I had it for 7 years, and I had a crew, and I was doing all this stuff and everything. And then I was on top of a building, and I said to myself, is this what I want to do with my life? And I was
right.
I love business for one, but I also was yearning to do something else, and that's how I ended up opening the fly shop, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And so that brings me to, tell me about your business that you have that is super successful and is helping people become something great.
Yeah, totally. So I have been in EMS since 2003. So I started as EMT on an ambulance, and be running 911 calls, and I thought that was kind of my calling. My uncle was a fire captain, my cousin was in the fire service, and kind of wanted to go that route and follow their footsteps. And I did that for about 3 years. Then I went to paramedic school, and it was eye-opening, like just seeing the daily life and death of people. Mm-hmm. And and then I got to the point where I'm like, man, like what else can I do? So I would be teaching CPR on the side. So back then, my hourly wage is like $7 an hour, $8 an hour, and I would have a 4-pack of mannequins in the back of my truck, and I'd go out and teach CPR classes to, child care centers, mm-hmm. dentists. You name it. I was out there grinding. So I'd come off a 24-hour shift, and I would be teaching for the next 6 to 8 hours, and then go back on that 24-hour shift again.
Dude, so how much sleep is that?
Not a whole lot, man.
Right.
And so I started doing that, and I'm like, hey, this is great, making some good side money. And then I got to thinking, I'm like, hey, these guys are up for renewal because you got to renew your license every 2 years. So I started kind of getting that repeat business, and then, got a really wild hair at my ass, and I opened up a small office, and I started teaching out of there, and it kind of had that snowball effect. I'm like, man, this is actually working out pretty well. So I took that big leap and I actually went part-time working as a medic, and went into the education world. So fast forward to now, we have an EMT school. We have a lot of hospital contracts, and I have 4 campuses. I have Redondo Beach, San Diego, Torrance, and Orange County. And we're the largest EMT school in the state of California, which is crazy.
That's so cool. So
yeah.
A key word you said, back was leap, and you took that leap, and I think for a lot of folks out there, it's hard for them to take that leap. What is it that made you do that? Was it just something that was in you that you just had to do it? Was it something that was in your soul that you're like, I got to do this? Or was it just something you just went for and just to see what happened?
Yeah, I think the kind of the moment was when these people start calling back, right? Like, hey, Ryan, it's been 2 years, right? And so they'd call back, and I'm like, this is a great opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And I started kind of expanding our class schedule. I'd offer more classes, and people are signing up. I'm like, wow, this is a pretty cool opportunity.
Yeah.
And I have a funny story, man. So when I very first started out, right, I would be in the middle of teaching in class, and I had my phone on my hip, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the phone would be going off the hook. So I would pause the class multiple times, and my excuse to the class was, hey, my receptionist called out sick. Let me take this real quick, right? And knowing in the back of my mind, I'm also the receptionist, right? So,
exactly.
Yeah,
Love
you
it.
know, now it's crazy. So now I employ like 50 people, and it's just it's a really super humbled, man. It opened the door for me to go to my son's baseball games and my daughter's dance competitions and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm super blessed, man.
What do you think makes that business so successful?
With me going through a couple different programs, through EMT school and paramedic school, I kind of saw what worked and what didn't work.
Uh-huh.
And, a lot of our competitors, they would cut corners, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you're passing students with a C minus average. Like, hey, like, you gotta think about it, right? Like, you're going into someone's house, whether it be a mom, a grandparent, or whatever, and I don't think they want a C minus student taking care of them,
Mm-hmm.
So I set the bar pretty high, and wanted to do it right. So
Yeah.
we found that kind of unique formula, and it works, and we just kind of duplicate that, right? So we got to the point where we can open future campuses and keep it moving forward,
Mm-hmm. And I've seen you in action with your other business, which we're going to talk about as well. But as that leap, I guess I'm getting at is when people, because I have acquaintances and friends and stuff that they'll say, hey, I want to do this and I want to do that, but something keeps them from doing it. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I think people are so ingrained in like the safety net, right? Like, hey, what is my safety net, right? And you and I both know like the risk versus reward part of it, right? Like, you have
absolutely.
to take that risk, right?
Yeah.
And it's almost like you're kind of like looking for fish, right? Like, hey, like maybe that looks like super fishy water, right? And you're taking that risk to throw a dry fly at it and see if it works. It's kind of the same thing, right? But like, you have to take a risk, right? And it may be calculated, and it may not be, but you'll never find out if you don't try.
I love it. Did you have any like negative things coming at you, like saying you shouldn't do that, or to keep you from doing that, and you just kind of kept going even though there was those negative things, or did you not have that?
It didn't really have negative like things going on. But what did happen was, as I started kind of, building the business, I would be training instructors, right? And what happened over a period of time was they would be under my belt for, let's say, 3 to 6 months, and then they would turn around and try to duplicate our system and open up another shop.
Yes.
And I was like, hey, man, like, that's going to fire me up. That's going to, like, that's not cool for one, but I'm going to make sure that I'm going to bury you. That's unfortunately, that's kind of the
competitive
part of business.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, man, like, and that kind of kept me going for sure.
I've had the same thing. I think it's with any business. You work really hard at doing something and creating the business, and then people will come in and try to duplicate that exact same thing. And
and they don't understand what it takes. Like, we're up, super late at night, and like you wake up, you're like, oh man, that's a great idea. Let me jot it down, right?
For sure. Yeah.
It takes time to build it, right? And it's not an overnight success type story,
Yeah. I've seen you in action and firsthand with your business, the Bighorn Valley Ranch, which is amazing, and I got to experience it. But one of the things that I got to see firsthand was you in action and trying to make everything so perfect for everybody, which says a lot about you and how you like to do things, and first class accommodations, to the food, to everything that goes on with having a lodge. But I wanted to get into also, how in the world does someone acquire a fly fishing lodge, and then and then turn it into something that, like what you have. Go through that whole experience.
It was a weird situation, to be honest. It was during COVID, so like you had really nothing else to do except go on Google. So I would go, like I'd fish, the Madison, the Missouri, the Yellowstone, the Bighorn, and I just kept driving past it, it's one way in, one way out on that road. So like you have to drive by the place, right? So I just kept driving by. I'm like, oh, the place looks cool, man. There's cabins on the lake. They got a fly shop. They have a restaurant. Yeah. And it looks super cool. And I don't know what happened, but I, for some reason, go on Google and type in fly fishing ranches for sale. And that one popped up. And I'm like, no way. So I did kind of a discovery trip. I went up there and talked to the owners and kind of walked through the property. I'm like, this is they have a really good foundation, and I think I could really improve upon the accommodations and make it a full service, lodge and make it really bitchin', right? Yeah. So I decided, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put an offer on it. And they took it. And I was like, holy crap, I own a fly fishing lodge, and so that's when the work really started. I'm like, holy crap, I've never been in hospitality. Yeah. I've never owned a restaurant. Yeah. So
a fly shop.
It kind of reignited. It kind of reignited my passion, right? Like I've been doing the EMT business for the past, 12, 15 years. And it was definitely a new adventure, like, hey, starting over. This is starting from scratch. This is super fresh. Like, let's do it, and I was all in. So. Yeah.
And then you went in and, like, to kind of give a visual to folks, this is in Fort Smith, Montana. And it's, how would you describe that? Like grasslands? I'm not sure. Like
it's kind of, it's the Bighorn Valley. So it's a lot of ranch lands and a lot of agriculture, just it's in a great spot because we have access to, the 3 Mile access point, Bighorn access point. Fort Smith is only 10 minutes away. Yeah. And, so we sit on 25 acres. We have 8 cabins, full service restaurant, fly shop, stock trout pond, and definitely a really cool experience for people looking to get into a lot of good, healthy fish. Yes. But also enjoy the relaxing environment.
Yes. And the cabins, I mean, didn't you put, like, is it called Blue Pine or something in there? Is it Blue Pine?
Yeah. So we did a full cabin remodel back in March of this year. So we gutted them from the bottom up, and it's got the cool blue pine in there. So
gorgeous.
That's original with the cabin. And so we put new flooring in, new furniture, new beds, new artwork. It looks great.
It's unbelievable. And then, of course, the restaurant, which has a beautiful deck that overlooks this private little lake that they have, that you guys have. It's pretty awesome.
Yep.
And then you just happen to have go ahead.
Yeah. So that restaurant, it's a weird fact, right? So it's the only public restaurant in that area. So the closest food would be in Hardin, which is 30, 40 minutes away.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, you got to either truck your food in for the week or come to us.
Yeah. And it has a really cool fly shop. It's got everything in it that you need.
That's once again something new. I've never had to talk to a bunch of reps, and they bug me every week about getting product in there and all that, but it's definitely pretty cool. So
let's talk about the fishery and what it's like. Like, can you fish that thing all year long, or does it shut down in the winter? How does that go down?
No, full year-round fishery. So it's a tailwater. It's being fed by the Bighorn Lake, so it's all dam controlled. And yeah, we have guys out there fishing right now. It's we had a little snowstorm the past week, and it got down to about 10 degrees. But guys are out there catching big browns on streamers and having a blast.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, it's about 3,000 to 5,000 fish per mile, and all wild fish. And the hatches can be pretty prolific. And I mean, you experience it. We're coming off a high water year, so we had a lot of water come through the system. But yeah, definitely a lot of opportunities for top water, nymphing, streamer action.
It's below. Is it the Bighorn Reservoir? Is that what?
Yeah, the lake. Yeah,
Bighorn Lake, and which is another fishery I want to talk about. But it's controlled. The river's controlled. It's below the dam, so the water. Yep. Does the water stay like a certain temperature like through the winter? Is that why you guys can fish it through the wintertime?
Yeah. So we're grabbing water from the bottom of the lake, so that water temp stays pretty consistent. Yeah. And there's, I'm not sure if you saw it, but there's a holding lake, the after bay.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's kind of a holding pond per se. But it stays consistent throughout the year, and it will never freeze over. And
crazy,
pretty awesome, unique fishery for sure.
I mean, it's got what blows my mind, is how good the fishing is. But there is a lot of boats going down the river, but there's so many fish per mile, it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't, and people are sometimes shocked, like, hey, getting in at After Bay, you're like, and you look down the river, you're like, holy crap, I can see 20 boats right now.
It doesn't matter.
They're catching all the fish, so, but yeah, and it's crazy. Like, they'll just kind of be floating down, and just the shadow of the drift boat will scurry, 20 fish below your boat, which is just insane.
Yeah. So it was really cool. When we went, I hosted a trip to your lodge there, and of course we fished the river, which was awesome, and but we also took a day and broke it up and went and fished the lake, and that was really, really fun. And that is big giant carp on grasshoppers, and
which is insane, right?
From a drift boat. Which was insane. I mean, it was unbelievable, big giant carp that would come up and eat you could pick a fish and throw the grasshopper over there, and they would come up and eat it. And that was really, really cool. I thought that was a really cool experience.
And it's pretty untouched. Not a whole lot of people will go up there and fish with a carp. And especially if you're doing a long trip, like you guys did 6 nights, 5 days, and it's a cool breakup day
for sure.
And to get out, and the lake is beautiful. It's got, really tall, walls and mountains on the side of it. And just a really cool experience for sure.
And the other really neat thing was it had smallmouth in there. And
for sure.
So a lot of the folks that were on the trip were catching smallmouth as well, which was super fun. So
Right.
I think that's a pretty cool experience to be able to do the river and that lake. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's in the future, man? Are you going to be doing some fly fishing shows and promoting the biz?
Yeah, so we're lined up for the fly fishing show in Denver. So
Nice.
that's in January. And then we're doing the Bart Hall show in Long Beach and also San Diego. So
We need to get
yeah,
you.
we're definitely we're stoked, man. We're this is our first big, like, hey, coming out to the shows. We're doing a cool promotion though. We're giving away a 3-night, 2-day all-inclusive package. So
Sweet.
all they gotta do is, swing on by, put their info down, and we'll pick someone at the end of the show.
Have you done any of those shows before, like with other businesses or anything?
I have not, but I go visit you all the time.
Yeah, make sure you have some good shoes, brother. You're
Right.
standing and some throat lozengers because you do a lot of
Yeah.
talking.
Right.
At the Bart Hall show, man, we should put you right next to us, man. That would be really cool. Somehow.
Yeah,
You know what I
probably
mean?
make that happen, right?
Yeah, for sure.
for
Bart might be able to do that for us.
Cool.
Well, that's amazing, man. So I wanted to have you on the podcast, one, because you're an entrepreneur and I love your story. And I love, that's one of the reasons why I have a podcast, is to talk to people like you that are motivated and, are trying to better their lives and do things for others and that sort of thing. So you fit the bill perfectly. And then also,
Right.
you and I have, I've hosted trips to your lodge, and I'm going to be doing it again next year in 2024.
Yep.
But the story of buying a lodge and just going for it and just figuring things out on the way is like so cool to me.
I still pinch myself. It's just crazy that I'm in that unique position where it definitely reinvigorated my soul, man, to be honest. It
Exactly.
just like opened up like, wow, man, this is so cool. And you're right, man. It's like, what can I do to offer that first class experience, right? Super cool. Hey, Guy, do you remember how we met?
Was it at the shop? I don't remember.
No. So remember, Travis and I went up for a guided trip with you, and we were fishing the lower part, and we fished the upper part, and we were fishing at the power plant, and Travis was on the edge of the power plant, and you saved him, dude. He fell in the damn water, and you grabbed him.
No way.
Remember that?
I don't, dude. Oh my God. I can't remember that. Probably because,
So he,
go ahead.
the water was coming out, right? And he slipped, and you grabbed him, and it was like that oh shit moment. And
was it going out of there pretty good?
He was. Oh yeah, it was flowing pretty good, and I'll never forget that, man. It was just so cool. Like he just kept talking about it. He's like, he saved me. I'm like, yeah, he sure did. So.
How funny, man. That's okay. So you guys went out on a guide trip with me then, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, it must have been probably 10 plus years ago. So.
Oh, no way. That's crazy, man. And you guys have been up a bunch of other times too with the Bueller brothers, I think, right? And gone out with them as well.
Yeah. Rob and Ryan. And then we helped out John Engel with Hold the Line fly fishing. So.
Okay.
And my brother just left yesterday. He was up there fishing with his family. So
nice. That's so cool,
yeah.
man. Well, dude, I really thank you for being on my podcast. And of course, I wish you the best. And I know you'll do really well because you just have it in your soul. You're so passionate about everything you do. So thanks, buddy, for being on here and sharing your story.
Yeah, man.
I totally appreciate it.
For sure. Yeah. Thanks, dude. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, buddy. Talk soon.
All right.
With everything going on in the world today, right now could be the best time ever to diversify your retirement savings with precious metals like gold and silver. I just bought some precious metals myself, and I got them from the top-rated company, Goldco. They couldn't have made the process easier, and their customer service was impeccable. Goldco has helped thousands of people just like you and me place over $2.5 billion in gold and silver. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. They've earned over 5,000 five-star reviews. They're a 7-time Incorporated 5,000 winner. And that's just mentioning a few of their accomplishments. There's plenty more. Right now, for my listeners, they're offering up to $10,000 in bonus silver. You heard that right, up to $10,000 in bonus silver, but only while supplies last. Go to goldco.com/guy to learn more. That's goldco.com/guy. Diversify your savings with gold and silver today at goldco.com/guy.
It's a Guy Jeans podcast.